Yemen's former president Ali Abdullah Saleh is killed in Sana'a. Libyans take up arms against one another and open fire with paintballs. And a closer look at Tanzania's unique time system. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. We begin in Yemen tonight, where reports indicate former President Ali Abdullah Saleh has been killed in fighting with the Iran-aligned Houthi militia raging in the Yemeni capital Sana'a. This is according to Saudi-owned Al Arabiya television, quoting sources in Saleh's party on Monday. Officials said Saleh was killed south of the capital Sana'a, along with the Assistant Secretary General of his General People's Congress Party, Yasser al-Awadi. Al Arabiya quoted a source in Saleh's General People's Congress as saying he was killed by sniper bullets. A Houthi video distributed on social media showed that what appeared to be Saleh's body, clad in grey clothes and being carried out on a red blanket. The side of his head bore a deep wound. Sources in the Houthi group said fighters stopped his armored vehicle with a rocket and then shot him dead. The Saudi-led air campaign, backed by U.S. and other Western arms and intelligence, has killed hundreds of civilians, but has failed to secure the coalition any major gains in the nearly three-year-old campaign to restore Yemen's internationally recognized president, Abdirabbu Mansur Hadi, to power. Now, child marriage is a human rights violation and violence against young girls. Despite laws against it, the practice remains widespread, in part because of persistent poverty and gender inequality. In developing countries, 1 in every 3 girls is married before reaching age 18. 1 in 9 is married under age 15. Child marriage threatens girls' lives and health, and it limits their future prospects. Niger's government, with the help of the United Nations Population Fund, is tackling child marriage through a very special education program called Ilimin. Khalil Gay reports for VOA News from Niger.
Ramatu Abdulhamidou is 14 years old. For 8 months, she attended the Ilimin program developed here in Madarunfa in the Maradi region in central South Niger. Madarunfa residents are welcoming and hospitable. The setting is serene. Madarunfa is home to a program that benefits women. The Knowledge for Dignity program, or Ilimin program, also is an academic success. Ilimin is an innovative and even revolutionary program under the Niger Adolescent Initiative. It was developed by the government in collaboration with the Country Office of the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA. It fights child marriage by promoting academic achievements and keeping girls in school. Ramatu Abdulhamidou is registered in Ilimin. As one of 20 girls of her age, she is regular at the courses given by her mentor, Hassana Usman, here at the Safe Space in Madarunfa. Safe spaces are secure locations for girls. Often, they are set up in youth centers, town halls, or in private locations according to the security conditions set by the communities and partners.
It has been 3 years since this program is underway here in Niger. And the girls who attend this program today have gained in terms of autonomy. By this we mean autonomy of action. These girls can take charge of their own body, their health, and their education.
At 13, Ramatu escaped an early marriage that her parents had planned for her. Faced with her father, she applied the lessons learned here at the Safe Space.
I told my parents that I am not yet old enough to marry, and I have demonstrated to them the consequences of child marriage.
Her parents saw her potential. Now they reject the notion of child bride.
I'm pleased with the program. My daughter was transformed so positively, and today she has a job. She knows how to read and write. She knows how to defend herself.
The girls have become very conscious and fully aware of their rights, and they enjoy their rights.
Now that the girls can make their voices heard and have learned new skills, one reality is facing them: how to find more job opportunities, a very important step on the road to a demographic dividend for Niger. And that is exactly what is on UNFPA Niger's plate at this very step of the Ilimane program. Khalil Gay for VOA News, Niamey.
Now to Southern Africa. Zimbabwe's new president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, swore in his cabinet on Monday, with allies defending him against criticism for giving top posts to the generals who helped his rise to power. Now, Mnangagwa has also come under fire for bringing back several faces from the Mugabe era, including Patrick Chinamasa as finance minister. Air Marshal Perence Shiri, who was handed the sensitive land portfolio, is feared and loathed by many Zimbabweans as the former commander of the North Korean Trained 5 Brigade that played a central role in ethnic massacres in Matabeleland in 1983, in which an estimated 20,000 people were killed. Another military figure is Foreign Minister Sibusiso Moyo, whom most Zimbabweans remember as the khaki-clad general who went on state television in the early hours of November 15th to announce the military takeover. And to East Africa, prominent strategist for Kenya's opposition, who has strongly criticized President Uhuru Kenyatta and called for some parts of the country to secede, was arrested on Sunday on suspicion of inciting violence. Kenya's Criminal Investigations Directorate said in a tweet that economist and anti-corruption campaigner David Ndii was currently under interrogation regarding matters touching on the offense of incitement to violence, but gave no further details. Now, the opposition National Super Alliance said on Sunday that Ndii had been arrested in the coastal town of Diani and that his whereabouts were unknown. Opposition leader Raila Odinga on Monday condemned the arrests as saying it is designed to intimidate and fragment the people of Kenya. Pro-democracy groups said Ndii's arrest raised concerns about freedom of expression. The NGO Freedom House, Freedom on the Net 2017 report says it has declined again for the 7th year straight, with a rise in government manipulation of internet access and social media. VOA senior analyst Jeffrey Young spoke with the Freedom House report official and others about the web situation in sub-Saharan Africa.
The NGO Freedom House recently issued its annual report, Freedom on the Net 2017, stating that overall the web continues to suffer ever greater restrictions. The internet situation in sub-Saharan Africa is explained by Freedom House program manager Bai Trong.
The countries that declined in internet freedom in sub-Saharan Africa included Ethiopia, Malawi, Rwanda, and Zambia. Elections and protests were the main reasons behind internet freedom restrictions in those countries in the past year.
But on the brighter side, the report says Uganda showed notable improvements. Governments in the region are moving to control social media on the web. The report says Ethiopia was a significant offender in that regard.
Ethiopia was the country that placed the greatest restrictions on access to social media through blocking of apps such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter at times, and Instagram. And again, it was throughout 2016 and 2017 as the government tried to dispel anti-government protests during a state of emergency.
But some countries went beyond blocking social media to turning off the internet entirely. Freedom House says this took place in Ethiopia, the Gambia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The journalist advocacy NGO Africa Freedom of Expression Exchange, or AFEX, says that in January 2017, Cameroon also shut down the internet for 94 days in its English-speaking areas following political protests. AFEX official Felicia Anthonio told VOA via Skype from Accra, Ghana, that government shutdowns of the internet only amplify problems.
And we believe that internet shutdowns do not solve or calm down situations during protests. It only escalates.
The Freedom House report also says that a number of sub-Saharan African countries are using legislation to restrict the internet, as Ms. Trong details.
Many countries in the region are passing new laws that restrict certain types of speech online that include incitement or hate speech, and even explicitly criticism of the authorities. And those laws are typically broadly worded and can be used to crack down against legitimate speech, political speech or social speech.
The internet's reach and impact in sub-Saharan Africa grows daily. Analysts say because of that, governments in the region must accept the reality of its presence instead of treating it as a threat. But for now, the situation oftentimes remains contentious. Jeffrey Young, VOA News.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our show live on Facebook, so check us out and share our show with your friends. Check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Now find me on Twitter at VOA Vince McCory. Coming up, Libyans take to the trenches for paintball. Stay with us.
This is BizBeat.
The Domino's HeatWave container is open. You can safely remove your order now.
I just got a call after my order, like, your order will be delivered by a driverless car. I'm like, oh, exciting, I want to see that.
You heard that right, driverless pizza delivery, where Ann Arbor, Michigan is a testing ground between Ford Motors and Domino's Pizza. Dennis Maloney is the Chief Digital Officer at Domino's Pizza.
Delivery is a really important part of who we are, and autonomous vehicles are a technology that's coming.
The vehicle arrives, customers walk out to the car, enter a 4-digit code,
Input the last 4 digits of your phone number.
a compartment opens, and the pizza is there.
You got it.
The experiment will answer questions about customers' interactions with the technology, and also things like, will they be willing to walk out to get their pizza instead of personal delivery? One thing for sure, if it all works, no more tipping. For VOA's BizBeat, I'm Philip Alexio.
Well, the United States has informed the United Nations it will no longer participate in the Global Compact on Migration. Last year, the 193 members of the UN General Assembly unanimously adopted a non-binding political declaration, the New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants, pledging to uphold the rights of refugees, help them resettle, and ensure they have access to education and jobs. But U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says the program was not consistent with American immigration policies. The U.S. announcement came just hours before the opening of a global conference on migration on Monday in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The goal of the meeting is the negotiation of humane strategies for dealing with the more than 60 million people worldwide who have been forcibly displaced for a variety of reasons. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump begins the week buoyed by a major legislative victory, but on the defensive yet again concerning the Russia investigation. VOA's Michael Bowman reports.
The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as amended, is passed.
On Saturday, the U.S. Senate passed tax cuts that are the cornerstone of President Trump's economic agenda. Hours earlier, Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, pled guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russian officials before the president took office, an ominous development, according to the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee.
The Russians had just helped Donald Trump in the presidential election. And immediately thereafter, President Obama sanctions Russia over their interference in our election. And you have Flynn, one of the president's top people, basically telling the Russians, don't react to the sanctions imposed over your help of our campaign. We're going to take care of this. And then lying about it.
Trump's attorneys insist Flynn's plea deal reflects on no one but himself, and the president's core assertion on the Russia matter has not changed.
What has been shown is no collusion, no collusion. There's been absolutely There's been absolutely no collusion, so we're very happy.
We do not need a reckless president who believes she is above the law.
Flynn was a key member of Trump's inner circle during and after last year's presidential campaign.
Lock her up. That's right.
Now the question is, what information might the former Trump insider provide to Russia investigation special counsel Robert Mueller?
A lot of the heavy breathing and a lot of the speculation is completely unwarranted. That plea agreement does not, to me, indicate that there's very much else there.
I do believe that he will incriminate others in the administration. Whether that will lead ultimately the president, I simply don't know.
While the Russia probe continues to churn, Trump is eager to tout tax cuts that are one step closer to becoming law.
People are going to be very, very happy. They're going to get tremendous tax cuts and tax relief, and that's what this country needs.
With differing versions passing the House and Senate, Republicans will get to work hammering out a unified tax bill to be voted on by both chambers. Republicans are promising a boost in U.S. economic growth that will improve America's fiscal health. Democrats say the tax plan benefits the wealthy at the expense of the middle class and will add to America's $20 trillion national debt. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
The Volvo Ocean Race Adventure features a play-by-play of the 7 teams as they fought to the finish to be first to arrive in Cape Town last weekend. VOA's Caroline Turner has more.
After a wet and wild start in Lisbon almost 3 weeks earlier, the fleet made fast time battling one another for the entire 7,000-mile marathon. Leg 2 of Volvo Ocean Race ended up under the spectacular scenery of Table Mountain in Cape Town. After navigating the St. Helena High with wind increasing and temperatures falling, Dutch crew Team Brunel was fighting for the lead, so they went into stealth mode.
Well, the moment that we went in stealth mode, we were the most southern boat. There was a real option, like a 50-50, to make a big dive south.
Team Brunel's tactical gamble didn't pay off. They emerged from stealth mode and slipped from 2nd to 4th in the rankings, overtaken by both Vestas and Dongfeng.
We pushed really hard. Now we just got to keep fighting hard to maintain that position until the finish.
With their bows pointing east towards Cape Town, just 37 miles split the top 4 boats, all fighting to ride a fast cold front. The leaders all notched up 500 miles in 24 hours. Chinese flag Dongfeng charged to regain the lead, overhauling Vestas to move into 2nd. Their sights set firmly on leaders Mapfre in the final 850 miles to the finish.
Up until this morning, they've been gaining on us, which we kind of expected. And now the routing's changed a little bit, so the guys behind now, they go slightly further north, and then it splits away. So it's been difficult for us the last 24 hours.
Akzo Nobel led the chasing pack as they lost their battle to stay with the fast-moving cold front, leaving them in lighter winds and adding hundreds of miles to their track.
We're in a really difficult position.
With the finish in sight, Mapfre fended off an attack from Dongfeng and Vestas. But after leaving Lisbon 19 days earlier, the Spanish team Mapfre crossed the finish line first to take over as overall race leaders.
Super happy. This is, for us, first leg was very good already, being second in Lisbon, but of course it's winning here and winning the first big, long leg is very happy.
Dongfeng finished 2nd, just 3 hours behind their rivals Mapfre, and Vestas claimed the final podium spot from Team Brunel. Meanwhile, a day behind the leaders, Team Akzo Nobel, Turn the Tide on Plastic, and Sung Hung Kai Scallywag were locked into a 3-way race with just 5 miles separating them. Team Akzo Nobel claimed 5th after being within sight of one another for more than 2 weeks. Sung Hung Kai Scallywag held off Turn the Tide on Plastic, which lagged at the finish by 200 meters, 1 minute and 8 seconds.
You always believe you can do it. Absolutely. They deserve it. They worked really hard. They deserved it.
The teams are now enjoying some R&R before the start of Leg 3 to the Southern Ocean on December 10th. Before then, South Africans are invited to the festivities, including up-close port races and educational exhibits on sailing and ocean conservation. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Well, Continue with sports. There's a new sporting arena in Libya's coastal city of Misrata. It's full of trenches and hiding spots, so armed competitors have places to duck for cover when the shooting begins. Rashid Abasani reports.
These men in Libya are preparing for battle. Armed, and before a crowd of spectators, the shooting begins. The game is paintball, and outside of a few stinging bruises, no one really gets hurt. Entertainment is scarce in the port city of Misrata. For years, kids mostly just had football and one bowling alley.
It is much fun, and they should encourage the youth to start these activities and these projects. This will allow them to use their time for beneficial things, things that are fun and provide much more.
The city's first paintball arena started with an online post to see if anyone would even come.
We spread
the idea on Facebook, and the turnout was high. People asked for an arena, and we created one in Misrata, and then people loved the game, thank God.
With the success of this recent match, there may be an opening to build more places to have fun.
I hope they increase the games and include baseball, ice skating, and an amusement park. It's a great game, and we had a very nice time. I hope they include other games.
Misrata has been mostly immune to the violence that befell much of Libya after the end of Muammar Gaddafi's regime. With relative peace there, it may also be a place where kids can be kids, without worry of the violence that plagues much of the country they call home. Arash Arbasadi, VOA News.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, telling time in Tanzania. We'll be right back.
In Zimbabwe, the cabinet ministers appointed by new President Emmerson Mnangagwa take their oath of office at the State House in Harare. In Nigeria, at least 13 people are dead after a twin suicide bomb attack at a market this weekend. In Kenya, plastic ocean pollution, a major problem on the coast of the country, is one of the key items on the agenda at the UN Environment Assembly taking place in Nairobi. In Liberia, market traders are struggling to make a living in a stagnant economy due to anxieties surrounding the delayed runoff presidential election. Finally, in Burkina Faso, traditional printed pagne fabrics created in the city of Bobo-Dioulasso are experiencing revival in popularity after a local designer launched a new fashion line.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Welcome back to Africa 54, and here's what's trending. Automakers are also appealing to buyers' sense of adventure at Los Angeles Auto Show with the debut of several off-road vehicles. SUVs from Rough and Tumble Jeep to the Lincoln Nautilus are the main attraction of this year's event. The LA show is also eco-friendly. Models in a nod to California buyers who purchase a higher percentage of hybrids and electrics than the U.S. as a whole, thanks to state tax credit and other incentives. As of October, overall U.S. vehicle sales were down 2% compared to the same period last year, but SUV sales were up 6%. That's according to Autodata. Next up, dogs can drive tens of millions of pounds to small businesses in the UK, according to new research. Britain is a nation of pet lovers, and now small business owners are cashing in on the appeal of their dogs to drum up passing trade and social media interest. Research commissioned by American Express found pets in shops could be worth up to nearly £60 million for small businesses in the UK. That is based on an average of additional spending of about 6.86 pounds. Over a third of those surveyed said they would be more likely to visit a shop if there was a pet in the window, and 30% would spend 13 minutes longer on average in a small shop with a pet. Well, and finally, a Los Angeles company is delivering organic farm-to high-chair baby food directly to busy moms' doors. Yumi recently received $4.1 million funding to target the new millennium market of mothers. Now, between 2010 and 2015, the baby food industry globally went from $36.7 billion to about $55 billion. However, traditional baby food sales dropped because of more mothers were making their meals at home. That's according to Euromonitor. Now, the food doesn't come cheap. However, Yumi says that a pilot test with 100 mothers in early 2017 found that moms said it was worth the price for the convenience and quality of ingredients. And that's what is trending today. Well, travel to Tanzania, and one of the first things you may want to check is a local time. From Dar es Salaam, VOA's Mohammed Yusuf explains.
Sunrise in Tanzania's capital. In the local Swahili language, the first hour of daylight marks 1 o'clock.
It has always been this way. It's something we inherited from our fathers. I've always seen people reading it as 1 o'clock instead of 7. I teach the same thing to my child since this is the way my parents taught me.
Swahili teacher Lusunga Benella helps orient foreign students and workers.
Na saa hii ya Kiingereza, baada ya jua kuchomoza, tunaanza kuhesabu.
In Swahili, we have 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of nighttime. When the sun sets, we begin to count from 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go on like that until day breaks again.
It is a system experts say that is made possible by Tanzania's proximity to the equator. Swahili time is not exclusive to Tanzania. Swahili is spoken by millions of people around East Africa. But Tanzania, unlike its neighbors, has designated Swahili as its sole official language and strives to promote it as a source of national pride. Government offices open at 2 in the morning, or what area banks call 8 a.m. Swahili time has remained dominant over the so-called English time, introduced in the colonial period. But there are signs of change.
I set the time on my phone differently from the way I say it, so I look like I'm moving with the modern world. If I set my watch at 10 instead of 4 and say it's 10 o'clock, then people won't see me as old-fashioned.
The coexistence does create some confusion.
Come 11 o'clock. A customer will tell you to pick him up at 5 o'clock, and he means 5 in the evening. I will go pick him up at 11 in the morning because 5 means 11 to me.
But locals say Swahili time is here to stay. Mohammed Yusuf for VOA News, Dar es Salaam.
And that's our show. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Welcome to English in a Minute. Most people enjoy listening to music. But is this expression actually about songs and tunes?
Music to my ears.
Jonathan, I cannot believe we have to work over the weekend.
Did you not hear the news? The meeting for the project got canceled. No work this weekend after all.
Awesome! That is music to